Great time today. We got a lot in store for you. We got some super secret special mystery guests. That's right, super secret special and mystery guests coming up in just a second. And we're going to give you your first taste of The Walking Dead mid-season premiere. It airs Sunday at 9 p.m. on AMC, but you're going to see a little bit right here, right now. You'll be the first people ever to see it. That's exciting. Also exciting. Let's talk to our guest, shall we? Joining us to our right, the showrunner of The Walking Dead, Mr. Scott Gimple. Right there. Right there. Yeah. And to his right, he plays Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead, Mr. Andrew Lincoln, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. But that is not all. We have some other the super secret special mystery guests that I alluded to. They're joining us live from Los Angeles right now. Michael Cudlitz and Lauren Cohan. Right now.
Hi! Are you guys surprised?
Look at your beard.
I don't know what you're
looking good,
about.
guys. And Lauren, I knew you were supposed to be here with us live, and the weather did not cooperate, so we're glad you got to give Michael some company out there.
Yeah, totally. It's a little bit warmer. Just being next to Michael.
All right,
Is that Robert Kirkman next to you?
Yeah. We asked him to
Hey, guys, first off, Andrew Lincoln, take a look at him. No beard, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Look at that.
He gave it to Michael.
Yeah. Well, not anymore now that I've been reunited with my beard.
Yeah, that's a bold decision, Michael. You got, what, 4 or 5 months between filming.
It's going to be huge.
You could have cut it off. You had time to regrow it, right?
No, it takes 6-8 months to grow it, so I get a jump start.
Get cooking.
You're stuck with it. We're going to have a great time. We're going to bring in some guests. They're going to ask their questions, bring in some social media questions. Like I said, we're going to watch a clip from the season premiere, which should be excellent. A lot to get to, guys. But I was thinking just the other day how, we all have work dreams. But most of our work dreams are like, oh, I didn't do my expense report, or my boss is on my back, or something like that. And Lauren, I remember actually talking to you last summer, and you told me, I was thinking about you guys must have the weirdest work dreams. Because Lauren, you told me how you had some nightmare where you were trying to warn people about the zombie apocalypse, and no one would believe you, right?
My favorite part of that dream was that I was in this beautiful cafe, and it was beautiful, and it was now derelict. And in the corner is Melissa McBride just having an espresso, looking effortlessly dressed, and she is the final person I'm trying to warn. And I'm like, Melissa, we can't drink this coffee. We have to leave. And nobody in this Parisian cafe believed me that it was the apocalypse.
Melissa just said, calm down, look at the flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calm down, look at the coffee beans.
Andrew or Scott, you guys ever have any zombie nightmares as a result of the work?
Oh no, it's more like Deadline nightmare. No. Actually, no. I think there have been zombie dreams, but they've been very aware. They start zombie, and then it kind of links. I start thinking about, oh no, I work on The Walking Dead, so this is a little ironic to be happening.
Like a zombie's coming out, you're like, hold on, I'm on Deadline. Can you wait a second, please?
It gets very meta very quickly.
Andrew, what about you?
No, man. I'm one of these either lucky or unfortunate people that don't remember my dreams, or deeply unimaginative human being. I collapse. It's at the end of the day. I mean, this is why I enjoy the job so much. It's because we do 18-hour days, and I just collapse on my bed and wake up. Maybe I'm just really dull.
Are you just tired?
Yeah.
You're just tired.
Yeah, thanks.
You do all your dreaming in the day.
What's that, Lauren?
Oh, I said he does all his dreaming in the day, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Your life is a living dream.
Is this a dream?
God. This is not happening. Lauren, we talk about The Walking Dead. You guys are constantly being grimed up, grody, putting dirt and blood and stuff all over you. Are you ever Scott, can't you write a scene where the survivors find an abandoned spa in the zombie apocalypse or something? Could that happen?
No, because everything else in life needs you to look presentable, and this is the one sanctuary where you can actually be covered in grime as part of your job. So I would actually ask Scott Gimple to insist the rest of the world made us look grimy, if anything. No, it's an incredible, liberating experience, especially as an actor. I mean, like, the more we can forget the rest of the world and just fall into this messy filth that we spend our day in, the better.
It is an amazing thing that our makeup people spend a good part of their day making pretty people not look pretty.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's revolutionary in television. They don't do that. On Grey's Anatomy, you get fired for that.
Yeah, it's the opposite. I mean, I've seen the makeup stuff that they have, and they all have crazy names on the bottles, like, you know, bile.
Yeah.
And they'll just come up and they'll spray you guys with it between takes.
That's actual bile. I'm just
Sprayed with bile.
Seems normal.
It's no problem.
Seems totally, completely normal.
I remember in season 1 we were at the camp, you know, just outside Atlanta, and Frank Darabont looked at me and John and just said, "You don't look dirty. That looks like makeup." So there's this shot of me and John Bernthal just rolling in the mud.
Sounds right.
For about 5 minutes, and he went, "Okay, good, that's it." And that kind of set the tone for the rest of the, you know, it was amazing.
Denai, in an episode from the 3rd season, which is called Hounded, I wrote this gag where she's on the ground, she has her sword, and she swings the sword, and Andy, one of Greg Nicotero's team, is the walker, and we have it rigged that all the guts come out. I think I wrote in the script something like a horrific jackpot. And and she's covered with these guts, and Denai, you know, she's still relatively new to the show. You know, is sort of like coming to grips with what she's going to have to do and endure. And she's like, after it's done, I'm going to come up, I'm going to hug you. She has all the guts all over me, all over her. She comes up, she gives me this big hug. I'm wearing this white shirt. It's covered in blood. Now, I stay in a hotel when we're shooting. I had to write a little note that says, you know, like, please note, this is not real blood. I work for The Walking Dead. Thank you. These are the things we deal with on
The Walking.
I have a similar thought on that too, because when we go home, sometimes you can't be bothered to wash all the blood off your hands, and you challenge a police officer to stop you and pull you over because you know that once he sees you, then hopefully he'll leave you alone.
Well, that's when I learned the learning properties of shaving cream. That's what they do for the zombie makeup. To take all that stuff off is shaving cream to get it off. Who knew? We obviously have a lot of fans here in studio. A lot of fans are going to be coming in, and you guys have the most rabid fan base imaginable. I mean, people that are so devoted to this show and will go to crazy, crazy lengths. Sometimes lengths that maybe it's a little too far. And I'm curious to get some stories from you guys on if there's been any instances that really have stood out as something a little special or a little weird encountering these fans. Michael, I'll start with you. I see you tweeting out photos of you and your fans all the time at these conventions and stuff. Is there a specific instance or two that come to mind?
No, you know what? They're just fantastic. They're so giving and supportive of the show, and they really want to just connect. And the show, strangely enough, and I say strangely enough because you wouldn't think this would be the connection, but the show seems to bring a lot of families together on Sunday nights. The stories we hear, you know, everyone.
Who'd have thought?
It's, you know, they say it's the one thing that they have, you know, that they can all sit and watch together, you know, and it's got to be true because we keep being told, you know, and everywhere from, you know, whatever, very young to the parents, it's something. There's something about the storytelling and the characters and what they're fighting for and striving for that brings families together, and, you know, and we're not making that up. We're told this by the people who come to see us, and you can't deny that. You can't deny the joy. You can't deny the connection, and it's something pretty special that I'm glad we can go out and meet the fans and share it with them because it means something and it does make a difference.
Lauren, what about you?
Yeah, I'd second that. I mean, it's an overwhelming experience going to conventions and seeing how excited people are by the show. I guess I could look in the camera. I don't know I feel like, should I be looking in that lens?
You're looking, yeah.
We're trained to never look in the way.
Yeah, you know when you do Skype and you don't look at the person you're Skyping, you look at the screen. But anyway.
It's looking solid.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, no, it's a fantastic experience, and we definitely get a lot of awesome gifts and artwork. I had never known there could be so many iterations of Maggie, and so sometimes we get these things, this art that really inspires you to be a bit more badass because you're drawn in the most fantastical superhero fashion, and then so it's kind of inspiring. But like Michael said, I think that there are shows that come along every once in a while that do that, and I'm just really honored and proud to be a part of something that everybody watches together, because I can imagine I don't know, I didn't watch the same shows as my parents when I was growing up, and let alone my grandparents.
When I was growing up, it was Disney and Mutual of Omaha. Now it's The Walking Dead.
So instead of animals eating each other, it's humans eating each other, basically. Sort of. Andrew, what about you? Experiences you've had with your family?
Oh man, it's been every single year. It kind of outdoes itself, and it's you know, I've had so many out-of-body experiences on this show. It's just there's too many to pick from. But the highlights, I suppose, were I think it was about 3 years ago it was either New York or San Diego, when a girl stood up and said, "My mom is your super fan," and I went, "Prove it," like this. And she said, "Okay," and she just pulled up her skirt, and I saw a picture of my face on her leg.
No. What was your face doing?
It was very intensely looking in the opposite direction.
Sorry.
Can't believe I said that on Google. Fortunately, no one is listening. But then, most recently, and I said this last night, only because it's the latest sort of Norman Reedus episode in my life. Yeah. And he keeps sending me pictures of, like, have you seen Mad Max?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, you know there's these two kind of, like, freakish-looking guys. There's a guy on a motorbike with feathers, and he's got a kind of gimpy boyfriend, it's sort of friend. Well, I'm the guy with the feathers. They've superimposed my face, and Norman's on the back of the bike. And then the next one he sent about 3 days later was Titanic. And I was Leonardo. Thank heavens. And then of course Brokeback was 2 days later.
Keeps going.
Yeah.
I don't know what next. I'm very excited to see. I'll keep you posted.
Please do. Scott, you have a more interesting and complex relationship with the fans, because they have the potential to get very angry at you when you kill off these characters.
Oh no, we do too.
As they let you guys, very vocal to let you know when they're not happy about it. So how does that go for you?
It's, you know, I mean, I think it's a tribute to how passionate people are about the show, and there's a little part of me that actually feels the same way. I don't like losing these characters. I don't like losing these actors. It is actually, and you know, I said this last night, I've been saying this all over, is I blame Andy for setting the tone to create such an environment with such a wonderful cast, with people who love doing this show. There's nobody who wants to go. There's nobody who's like, oh cool, I'm out of here. Everyone loves being a part of this, and I love them being a part of this. So it's I don't know, I understand their anger, and I guess the positive of it is they liked that character, they liked that story. This is something that touched them, and it's rough to disappoint them with death, but the characters on the show are disappointed with death. Disappointed is probably underplaying it. And as far as just weird fan interactions, it's, you know, they have this program, The Talking Dead, so occasionally people recognize me, but I don't think of things like that. So I'm like, how do they know me? And I was at the doctor's and I was having blood drawn, and I had a needle in my arm. This dude walking by kind of double takes through the open doorway and looks at me and he's like, hey man, Walking Dead. And there's blood coming out of my arm. And because I'm not very smart, I'm very confused by the whole situation. And I just, 5 minutes later I understood what happened, but I just said to him, just like it was a code word or something, oh yeah, Walking Dead.
Yeah. You didn't think it was a diagnosis.
He was wearing a uniform and he had a very grim look on his face. But I just,
very official.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to bring in some of our first fans here to ask some questions. Let's bring in now Bruce Clark from Canada. There he is.
Hey,
How's it going, man?
It's good. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good to have you here. We're also going to bring in Melissa Chalmers from Texas. Melissa, are you there going to join us? Let's.
Hi, good morning.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Let's go to Bruce first. Bruce, what's your question for the Walking Dead gang?
Well, I would like to know what has been your favorite episode so far?
Ooh, favorite episode so far. A lot to choose from. Andrew, we'll start with you.
Oh, I knew you were going to do that. Bruce, it's hi. Hello, Canada.
Hello.
Am I allowed to say that? I'm going to say it.
why wouldn't you be allowed to say that?
Well, I don't know. It just sounded, well, it's a silly thing to say, isn't
No,
it?
not
Hello,
at all. Not at all.
Hello, Canada.
Hello, Canada.
I think the first episode probably is, you know, the most profound episode that I've, I mean, all of them have their own sort of qualities and extraordinary moments, but I think just starting the show was, for me, unbelievable. I mean, I loved that script. I loved what they'd written. I loved the ambition of the show, and also just to come to America and play an American character and ride into Atlanta on a horse was pretty cool. I mean, let's be honest. And to be chased by 400 zombies, and I mean, it was just a ridiculous experience and something I will never ever forget. And yeah, I suppose that one was the beginning, but then everything else has kind of led on to this extraordinary journey. I mean, Sophia episode I loved. I think the Shane episode, when the showdown, was an extraordinary moment, just because John is such a dear friend, and I love working with him, and that was the trippiest kind of. We just kept shooting this scene, and we did it for about 4 hours, and we kept improvising that whole scene. And John kept saying, do you think they're going to worry that we're not saying the same lines? And I went, I don't care. It's 4 in the morning. Let's just keep doing it. It's fun. And then, of course, Laurie, I mean, I'm just going through the whole season. Ridiculous. That's not an answer. I'm going to shut up. Thank you. Bye-bye, Canada.
Let's go over to Lauren and Michael in LA. Lauren, do you have a favorite episode that really sticks out for you?
Yeah, I think thinking back on everything, one of my favorite episodes is when we're in season 2 and Herschel first finds out about Glenn and Maggie, and he sort of takes issue with it, and we get to sort of start this conversation. And for me, being in the show and discovering the dynamic between father and daughter and religion and boyfriend, and that was the first time I started thinking about what is your standpoint on things and who's the person you're going to be, and especially in this world, what really matters. And so that was, for me, kind of, that sort of cracked open the Walking Dead egg, as it were. And it's also just one of my favorite scenes because Scott is such a mentor and a dear friend to all of us, and it was the beginning of just a great acting relationship and personal relationship. And so yeah, I feel really, really blessed to have had that. And that was a nice, Scott Gimple and I had a nice conversation after that episode, because it just was really, we just really enjoyed, he really enjoyed writing it, and I really enjoyed playing it. And so yeah, and I miss my TV dad. So hi, Canada.
We all do,
We
yeah.
all do.
We all do.
Michael, you've only been on the show for about a year now that we've seen, but do you have a favorite episode? I know 505 was a big one for your character.
It was, and that was I was happy for the audience to finally get to learn Abraham's backstory and see a lot of what has driven him, and sort of explains some of the behavior, or puts it in perspective and gives you a way to move forward with it. But being a fan of the show prior to that, I love them all. The moments that Andy was talking about just now. It's, as a fan of the show, and watching it week to week, it's hard to say what episode. I think it does fall more into what moments are your favorite, because they're just chock full of amazing story points. But one of my favorite moments to act in was when I finally got to work with Andy in the church, and we got to kind of go at it with each other, and it was a particularly personally satisfying moment. We went. It was just a great day, and Andy and I were both into it.
Amazing day. I agree.
And we, I felt like I really landed. And we talked about this at the end of the day. But Andy, he's very intense when he works, and that raises the level of everything, and keeps you focused, keeps you in it. So all day long we were kind of, pacing around each other like a couple of panthers, even at lunchtime, looking at it. It's like, yeah, what's your problem, pal? And it wasn't until the end of the day where we were done and we wrapped the scene and we just were like, it was it's the show is very satisfying to work on many levels creatively, and a lot of it is to do with that gentleman sitting there with the tie. It's all about story.
Thank you. I didn't expect that, but Michael, thank you.
No, it's all about story. It's all about character, and you flipping back to what you talked about a minute ago. He gets a lot of grief. If he's doing his job the best he can and the best it can be done, people should hate him, because what he's done is he's made you love these characters.
You don't need to encourage that.
With a deep hatred, like a hatred you've never felt before. No, he's made you love these characters. He's made you care about these characters. So you share in their successes and you mourn their losses. And if we're doing that on a week-to-week basis, then we're all doing our job.
Great. And Scott, I won't make you pick between your children asking you your favorite episode, but let's move on to Melissa, who also has a question for you guys. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, guys. My question is for Andrew, Lauren, and Michael. What was the hardest scene or episode emotionally for you to personally shoot, and why?
I know that mine is the most recent episode that you guys have seen, which is the loss of Beth, and just on a million levels. And it's like Michael says, Scott does make you love these characters, and I think she's one of the most beloved, pure, innocent characters that we have had on the show. And that episode is difficult because everyone, these people that you see day in, day out to be extremely strong people, were not able to save her or to prevent this from happening. And I think that that's the huge, just terrible loss of that character. But it's all pretty difficult, I'd say. But that definitely goes up there with one of the most challenging.
Sure.
Yeah, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
Andrew?
Oh, sure. I was just going to say that it was shattering watching Elsie's reaction and Stephen's reaction. Coming out of the hospital with that news was just, and everybody just. There was one take that she made this noise that was just horrendous. And I made a decision to I thought, well, Rick's going to, just for the sake of the group, he's going to be, strong and keep pushing forward with this terrible tragedy. And then I just saw these two faces, and just tears just kind of went whoosh down my face, because she did, and Stevens kind of didn't know what to do. It was perfect. It was kind of harrowing. Beautiful work. And but I suppose it's got to be, for me, losing my wife. I mean, that was everything up until that point in Rick's story. His engine, his driving force had been his child and his wife. That was the thing I loved about playing the guy, is that he's a family man first and foremost, and that was just awful, because you lose a relationship. Everybody loses the on-screen relationship. The character loses that forevermore, that relationship with that character, as in life. But also, Sarah Wayne Callies, it was a hugely important keystone, actually, in fact, with the original DNA of the show. And she also mirrors my life in many ways. She has a young family, we're very close, and it's just the most agonizing thing, you're losing a friend and who also established this culture on the show. So that was, for me, probably one of the lowest moments. But there's a lot more to come. Rest assured, we've got loads more pain coming your way.
Bruce and Melissa, thank you so much for your questions, guys. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys later.
Thank you.
We got a social media question. This one's going to go. I'm going to throw this one to Michael Cudlitz there. It is from Joao.
Good face.
Joao, I hope I didn't just Adele Dazeem Joao, but if that's your name. Michael, if you had a chance, what other character would you enjoy trying to play on the show? If you could not be Abraham, knowing what you know, the show and the comic book and all that stuff, is there someone else that you would love to give a shot at?
No.
All right then.
I just think I love, like I said, I'm a fan of the show, and everyone I think has made these characters their own, and they are the living version of these comic book characters, and I just enjoy watching it, and I'm just
Michael did ask to play Carl.
Stay in the house.
I'm sorry, Michael.
Yeah, no one. I've been asked that before, and I just always jokingly say Michonne, because I would look ridiculous in those dreadlocks.
You say Rosita. He always says Rosita.
I say it's Rosita because I want to know what it's like to kiss me.
Oh.
Ask Eugene. He had a good view of that. You can ask him.
Wow.
All right, thanks a lot. We're going to bring in some more people now to
Dolphin
hang out.
smooth, Andy. Dolphin smooth.
Well, Dolphin Smooth. You had to go there, didn't you, Cudlitz? Oh, Jesus. All right, let's bring in YouTube creator Taryn is going to join us. Taryn, are you there? There she is. Hi, Taryn.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Hello.
We're also going
Good
to
to
bring
see
in
you all.
Diamond from Virginia. Diamond, are you, there she is. Hi, Diamond. How's it going?
Hey, Diamond.
All right, Taryn, let's go to you first. You got a question for the Walking Dead group.
I do, and you've talked a little bit about this, but as a YouTube creator, we obviously wouldn't survive without our fans online, and I think no show on television has really cultivated this relationship with fans better than The Walking Dead. So how do you all think that social media has changed the way that a television show and its actors connect with its fans?
I think on a lot of levels, because what happens on The Walking Dead, because there are such huge turns and cliffhangers and losses, people want to watch it right away. And I think that's one element that makes it immediate, and that's sort of the connection to social media. You don't want to, you don't want to miss anything, and you want to be a part of the conversation currently. And also, I feel like social media for this show, maybe more than others, is sort of this balm, like sort of an after wound care, because it can be so gut-wrenching.
The warm hug that Chris Hardwick calls Talking
like
Dead.
Talking Dead.
I agree with that. I think there is it's a place to come share what you're emotionally going through and feeling. I think the show does touch people in very deep ways. I think a lot of shows touch people in very deep ways. So I don't think we are just exclusive to that. I think people fall in love with characters.
It does that.
They love shows. If Scott worked a little bit harder, they would love our show a little more. That's his homework. He's got a couple months on that. No, but you fall in love with these characters, and we are a show that regularly kills off characters and has horrible and horrific things happen to these characters. And I do think that people want to go share their feelings and their experience with other people, and the best way to do that, to find fans who feel exactly the way you do, as opposed to walking out and trying to explain to your parents why you're so upset, or how you feel strongly about something, or how you want to touch Norman's butt. Whatever it is, you can find 10,000 people out there who feel exactly the same way as you, and who want to share it with you. So, and you can do it immediately, which is something that we were not able to do when I was growing up. I can't even imagine what it would be like to talk to someone who was on my favorite show growing up and actually talk to that person. If I could contact Farrah Fawcett, during Charlie's Angels after the show and just tell her how beautiful her hair looked, and she might actually answer me. I mean, that's ridiculous. Not that I have anything weird going on with Farrah Fawcett or my room at all.
We'll send you the poster. Scott, I want to follow up on that and ask you, because going to what we talked about a little bit earlier, how do you deal with reaction from fans to the episodes that you've created and written and stuff? And you get a lot of positive feedback, and then I'm sure you get some negative feedback as well. How much do you pay attention to that in terms of people tweeting you or doing whatever?
I think you have to honor people's opinions. I mean, once the show goes out, it's theirs, and they get to decide how they feel about it. I think you can't be beholden to every tweet that comes your way. I don't think you should be sitting around reading critics' work. No offense to present company. I think that's dangerous business. So I don't know. I mean, I think social media in general, for that community is a wonderful thing. You saw the most recent episode.
Yes.
You wanted to talk to people about it. You've had no one to talk to.
I have not liked that.
But it's a wonderful thing for people, because what we do on the show is ask a lot of questions. Like, a lot of it is, what would you do? Who would you become? People like talking about that. And that's a wonderful part of the show, and that's a wonderful part how social media works into it. I know that there's shows that I love that can be kind of spoilery, and I stay well clear of the internets while during that period, because I'm so busy. It can be several days before I see something, and I think as a consumer of television, it's very, very dangerous, because you can have great things totally screwed up.
You got to go in the cone of silence.
Yes.
It's exactly right. Thanks for your question. Let's go to Diamond now. Diamond's got a question for you guys. Hi, Diamond.
Hi. Okay, so what is your favorite part about being on such a successful television series about a zombie apocalypse?
Okay. Andrew, you want to take that one?
What's my most... it's just playing a role, I think, that is so engaging and changes all the time. I think I've never lived with a character for longer than 2 years. And I think that has been one of the most incredible journeys, and particularly having people like the man sat next to me writing such a complicated, challenging, emotional journey. You get to really flex your muscles. I think that first and foremost, the thing I'm most indebted to is as an actor. It's a great role, playing an iconic sort of hero or anti-hero, take your pick. But then the rest of it, this whole phenomenon is just mind-blowing. I mean, the fans and you guys, and just this having a dialogue with your fans is the most phenomenal thing that I've never experienced before. You kind of, maybe down the line someone will write you a nice letter, but this direct feedback is something that is completely new to my career, and I love it.
Lauren and Michael, you guys want to chime in on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with this show, the writing, the uniqueness of the show, but overall, the hard work and the entire process is made so great personally because of you guys, like because of the actors that I work with and because of our community that we're in. I mean, we spent 7.5 months in Georgia, which at first seems like, you know, you're moving to a different environment away from everything familiar to you, and it's a really grueling thing to shoot, and it has become, that's home, you know, and the places that we get to go to, as Andy said, as actors, and the stories that are written, to be able to play those out in a safe environment. I mean, I had never played a character for more than a year, and, you know, exploring this with these particular people I never would have imagined enjoying something so much. It sounds really corny, but it really is overwhelmingly lucky. I feel really lucky to work with you guys. Be a little cheesy, I'm sorry.
No, it's not. I think it all comes down to story and character. Everybody out there making television is putting a tremendous amount of work in. Nobody sets out to make a bad television show. What you have control of is what happens on set. You don't have control what comes down to you story-wise and character-wise, and we are in a position where it happens to be phenomenal. Everything else that happens on top of that, the fan interaction, how many people watch the show, we have no control over. So to sort of find that magic accidentally, or not so accidentally, because I think Kirkman, the source material, is pretty phenomenal. You have no control over that. So I think what we sort of rest back into is the work, because that's all we really have control over, and everything else we're just grateful for.
All right. Taryn and Diamond, thank you so much for your questions. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for hanging out.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff. And speaking of good stuff, what if we showed everyone a little sneak peek of this mid-season premiere? No one has seen any of this yet. Not a single second, but we're going to show you a little part of it right now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. So brace yourselves, people. Here it is, a little clip from Sunday's mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead.
We look not at what can be seen, but we look at what cannot be seen. For what can be seen is temporary, but what cannot be seen is eternal. For we know that if the earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens.
She was gonna come with me. How far? Outside Richmond, Virginia. It was secure. It has a wall, homes, 20 people. Beth wanted to go with him. She wanted to get him there. It's a long trip, but if it works out, it's the last long trip we have to make.
And what if it isn't around anymore?
Then we keep going.
Then we find a new place.
The Walking Dead. New episodes, Sundays at 9, returning February 8th, only on AMC. For more exclusive video, go to amc.com.
All right. Whoa. It's a clip that gives you more questions. You get some answers. You see, there's okay. Well, maybe there's a plan starting to be put into place here, Scott. But we also see a lot of questions in terms of the visuals here. Some things from the past, some settings from the past, some Woodbury, a prison, but also some visuals that we aren't really sure what they are yet.
Yeah, it's some cryptic stuff. And it's funny, in watching it, I'm like, we didn't want to show any deeper into the episode because you'd get answers, and we're not down with that. But it's a weird clip to show, but it's the only clip we could show, and it is, yeah, it looks like it's the start of the journey, of a journey for the group, but for the viewer, that's a start of a journey too.
Right.
With those images and everything slowly coming together. And I worry that I've already said too much.
Well, let's talk about this. You guys we've all spoken about this whole back half, and it's really going to start with this season, this episode that we're going to see on Sunday. There is a definite sort of different feel to what we're going to have in these next 8 episodes. We're going to take some sharp turns, a few of them along the way. Is that fair to say?
I think I was in Georgia. I might have been in LA, and I got a phone call from Andy. It was a voicemail, and it was him singing David Bowie's Changes.
How's his voice?
It's lovely.
Pretty good?
It's sonorous. And I get so like tunnel visioned in what I'm doing. He had just, I don't know if you had read or whatever, but I was like, what was that about? And you were like, you had to like lay it out because of how stupid I can get. You were like, there's a lot of changes coming to the show. Yeah, and there are. This is a very, very different episode for the show. It leads into, in many ways, sort of a final approach on certain storytelling things. And then things get really different and crazy, and much less ambiguous than what I'm saying. But yeah, it really is. It's this back half. This back half of this season is just very unusual Walking Dead. It's a very different Walking Dead.
Well, I know that one of the things I'm looking forward to seeing is that, and Andy and I spoke about this, is that, and you and I spoke about this, Scott, is Rick's position right now. Because he wanted to do all these terrible things, like going back to kill the Terminus folks and going into the hospital guns blazing, and everyone said, no, come on, we're still, especially Glenn was like, we're still humans, we're not going to do that. And then everything turned out wrong. The Terminus folks ate Bob's leg, Beth's gone, and so he's telling him, so what does this mean going forward for Rick?
First time in the season I have some good plans, no one listens to me.
So are we going to see, does that mean a return to the Ricktatorship? Does that mean, what does it mean in terms of how he's going to feel about when someone questions his decision making? What does that mean, Andy?
I think certainly this back 8, and maybe the whole arc of this season for Rick is he's let go of the past. He's relinquished his grip on the past, and he's accepted what is necessary to survive in this world. He's made peace with the fact that he's brutal as well as, humane, and I think he's waiting for the others to catch up. And I think that certainly 9, 10, they're extraordinary episodes for me, because I think they're some of my favorite episodes that we've done, because I think we're moving into a territory that is much closer to Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Well, I like to think when I read it, it had the poetry and the kind of stark brutality of that story and that tone. There's a couple of body blows, that we're still recovering from, and but I think it's really poetic. It sounds a terrible thing to say, but I love it. I love the fact that we can do that, as well as, don't get me wrong, there's some badass stuff ahead, but there's also there's so much dignity in it as well that I really really admire, you know. But then it just goes completely bonkers in the back. It just turns like nothing else. I called Scott up and didn't sing to him this time, and I just said, I'm quite nervous about this, what's happening in the story. And he said, yeah, so am I. And that was not what I wanted him to say. But then,
you know me.
But I knew him. But it was also, then he said a beautiful thing, which is that how exciting to be scared after 5 years of doing the same job. And he said, if a creative act is happening, then it should be fearful. You know what I mean? And I do think that that's true. I think that some of the most liberating stuff that I've ever done, probably as an artist, as an actor, have been petrifying. You know, because you're kind of daring to do something that may look ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But I'm not saying. I think that this is absolutely coherent in the story. I think that what is happening in this back eight is really radical. But I think it opens up a doorway to a whole new vista that I think unlocks the show and the characters.
And things have culminated to this point.
Yeah.
You know, it isn't like this weird juke into like a 3-camera comedy. It really is.
It is.
Everything led to this point. It's just such a strange point that we find ourselves in.
Yeah. I'm excited for everybody to see it.
All right. Well, let's bring in some more people here. Let's bring in Yannick. Yannick from the Netherlands.
All right.
All the way from the Netherlands coming in. Let's see. There he is. Hey, Yannick. How's it going?
Yannick.
Thanks for joining us. And let's also bring in Leah from Andrew Lincoln's favorite place, Canada. Hey,
Hi.
Leah. How's it going?
Canada.
We're taking over.
All right. Yannick, let's start with you. You got a question for these guys?
Hi there, my question is if Rick wasn't the leader of the group, who would also be a good leader?
Oh, who would also be a good leader? What do you think, Scott? Who would be a good leader for the group if not Rick?
Maybe Rick isn't the leader at the moment.
I don't know. There's I would say in iterations throughout this season, there are a lot. I mean,
Carol,
Michonne, Maggie, Abraham, Glenn. Oh wait, I saw you hold your hand up while I was looking the other way.
Carol.
Who thumbs up to Yannick?
Carol.
All right,
Carol.
fair enough. Yeah, I mean, after the first episode, certainly she showed some leadership skills.
Mm-hmm.
But I see all of the. I mean, anybody who's alive now. Well, there's a comma there. Anybody's alive now. Maybe it's a semicolon. You know what? It was just a lame space. Anybody who's alive now certainly has skills, at least among our group. And I can look at many of these. I mean, Rosita is a character who, you know, I think Glenn had to sort of just give an elbow to in 7, saying like, "Oh, check it out. Look at who you are now. Look at what you can do." You know what? I'm sorry, Josh McDermott.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Eugene has shown himself to be a great leader, because you have to have a little bit of confidence in what, you know. People have to be confident in what you're talking about.
He's a survivor.
Wait, what's?
He's a survivor.
He is a survivor, but you know, you got to trust him. He has some trust issues.
All right, thanks, Yannick. Appreciate it. Let's go to Leah. Leah, you have a question for these guys.
Yeah, Walking Dead has had some of the most incredible character development. Is it ever a surprise to where your character goes with their internal journeys? And do you have any favorite arc story points as to where they've been?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think this season certainly what happens in the back eight for me is really exciting. But there are many. I mean, one of the great things about playing Rick over 5 years is that there are these watershed moments. There are these moments where he steps off the cliff. And he seems to be one of these characters that is able to do that and trust that something's going to hold him. I would say, you know, Morgan was a huge influence in the first episode, as just to keep him pushing forward and hope. It's a key character in his evolution. And then, of course, Sophia, that was the kind of smashing of his hope. And then the killing of Shane was another moment of galvanizing who he was and what he was capable of doing. I mean, that's the wonderful thing that these guys have continually done, is push the ripping of the guy's throat out to save his son. That was another huge moment for Rick. So yeah, I mean, that's been one of the great things about playing this guy, is that they keep, putting the guy in the corner and he keeps coming up with the goods.
Let's go to Los Angeles. Lauren and Michael, what about certain moments in your character's evolution that you've sort of noted as significant?
What I've liked about with Maggie is that she keeps trying to maintain a moral code that would exist in the normal world, and I think it tries to reappropriate that as we go, and it's been she's a hopeful character and she's an encouraging character, and it is her MO to, for example, I loved the episode when I'm with Bob and Sasha and I go to find Glenn, but in the end I can't do it by myself, and I see that the encouragement I need is the same encouragement that Sasha needs, and there's a sort of an interdependency there, and I think that despite the struggles and despite these characters needing to adapt and become maybe more aggressive or base in this world, that I've enjoyed that Maggie still tries to bring it back to, I guess, that human side. They all do. I mean, all these characters as they progress do that. And I have also, definitely really enjoyed portraying a relationship and the development of love in this world. And sometimes I just think about the apocalypse, and if we knew no different, and this was what it took to survive, then this is what you have to do to survive, and this is what you do to protect those you love. And I think sometimes I really enjoy seeing the journey that Rick and Carl have for the same reason, because Carl now has had, almost as much of his life, and Judith all her life, but almost as much of his life in this environment, and so it's an interesting question to see. This is reality now, and it's no longer how we survive in an apocalypse. It's establishing this and accepting this as reality, and really the very fundament of who you are and your compassion itself. I think the compassion itself is really the biggest question for my character as she goes through every trial and tribulation that we all do.
Michael, anything you want to add?
I just think it's amazing. Every character, this is a world where every character has to grow. Has to. You don't have a choice. If you don't grow, change, and adapt in some way, you won't survive. For me, for Abraham specifically, you have someone who has lost everything. She's starting from zero. He's lost every single thing in his life that matters to him. What does he have left now? That's what we're going to learn. He has to relearn what is out there. Are there things worth fighting for that are outside of yourself? And he's seeing through example that those things still do exist, even in this world where it seems like we have nothing. So all the rides are just fantastic.
Awesome. Hey, Yannick and Leah, thanks so much for your questions. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I want to follow up on that with a social media question, actually, for Scott, that came in from Carl Emil Beyer, because we talked a lot about adapting and evolution. But what about from the zombie front? He says, in seasons 1 through 3, we saw a few walkers that were in some ways a bit more intelligent than others. Morgan's wife, for example, trying to open the door with the doorknob. Could we possibly be seeing some more of this in the future? We see usually zombies devolve and rot and fall away, but is there a possibility that they could evolve and adapt in other ways?
In following the comic, which we follow quite closely, there have been little hints of weirdness with zombies, but really just a handful. And I've talked to Robert a lot about. As far as them evolving that way, I'd say that's highly unlikely. Actually, considering a current story arc of the comic book, I'd rather say anything is possible.
There you go. Well done.
I'd rather say anything is possible because, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone.
Never know.
Oh, yeah.
All right, great, thanks. Let's bring in one more guest now. Let's bring in Jessica from Georgia, where the Walking Dead films. Hello, Jessica.
Hello. Yeah, Georgia, Atlanta. Hey.
So, what's your question?
My question is, if you had to choose one of the characters to team up with for a real-life zombie apocalypse, which character would it be and why?
Ooh, Scott, we'll start with you.
Oh, dear. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to say Andrea and Herschel, just because they're a powerful combination.
Mm.
You
got the sniper.
You have somebody who's just, kind of very capable,
Mm-hmm.
and then somebody who's just really wise. I think that's a powerful combination.
Okay, Brandon Braun.
I would say Herschel as well, just because he's got great moonshine.
That's
priority.
Oh, that's Scott Wilson.
That's Scott Wilson, actually.
Yeah.
Priorities.
Actually, you know what? I'm just going to change mine to Scott Wilson.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
What about out in L.A.? Lauren and Michael, what do you guys say to that?
This is a very difficult question, and you wouldn't think so because we've been asked it before, but I still can't answer it. I feel like I want Michael to go first on this one. That's what I feel like.
Passing the buck.
Rosita, Carol, Maggie.
Hold on. There's a trend here.
I'm going to enjoy the apocalypse until the very last moment.
All right, Dolphin Smooth. What about you, Lauren?
What about me? I'll go with Graydon. And fans will know.
I like that.
That's Graydon.
Safe, nice answer, but I like it.
We had to read the balance here.
Water bottle straight. That's all that matters, okay? Don't want to catch any cooties in the zombie apocalypse. Jessica, thank you so much for the question. We appreciate it. That was great. And I want to thank everyone. This has been a lot of fun. We hung out. We have now officially hung out, right?
Yeah, we Google hung out.
We Google Plus hung out. This is incredible. I want to thank Los Angeles, Michael Cudlitz, Lauren Cohan. Thank you so much, guys. It was great to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Obviously, a big thanks to Scott Gimple and Andrew Lincoln for being here. And thanks to all of you for tuning in and checking it out. Walking Dead returns Sunday night at 9 p.m. Thanks, everyone.